welcome back to this Jarvis Show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to On Air with Jarvis, the podcast of all things Warhammer and general stuff I find of interest. Joining me this week is the Acolyte herself, Naerina. How's it going, ma'am?
It's going good. It's going great. It's good to be here. Has been a very slow morning today, but that's all right. It should be just about ending because it's, almost 5 p.m. over here.
Time zones are weird. It's around, 10 a.m. over here? So it's like... time,
yeah, a wee bit of a time difference.
Just a little bit of a time difference. So, for the audience, who may you be, Naerina? For the audience in the back.
For the audience in the back. So, hello. I'm Naerina. I am, or you might know me as the hostess of Homebrew of the Week series on the channel 40k Theories. Or if you happen to be watching If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device series, I am, in addition to other voices, and I think at the moment, very, very well known and the best known for the voice of Lady Malys.
Now, that must be crazy to be an official voice on TTS. So, how was being the voice for one of the characters? How was it? Or how is it?
Yeah, I think, without spoiling too much, it should be how is it and not how was it. I think it is amazing. Naturally, before Lady Malys, I did some shorter roles, something like, okay, just do the warning, don't, like, if you haven't seen this or if you haven't read this, don't watch this episode or something like that. Or then just roles like be a very annoyed Eldar lady or Eldari lady. I'm like, okay, fine. And I landed the role of Lady Malys by being, having had taken 4 courses of French during my upper secondary school. For you, I think it's high school. And at the moment, my French is something along the lines of moi, je déteste le pain blanc, which means technically that I hate white bread, which is not true, but it was in the chapter, so that's why I remember it. And as a role, Lady Malys is a hoot to play, because if I think I'm overacting, that's not even close to what it should be like. I'm technically just trying to be a French version of Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Yeah, I was pulled out of French class in elementary school, so... And that's like a mandatory class to take, so it's like, okay, you're not doing so well in these classes, just don't bother coming in.
Aww. Well, with us, we have our second official language is Swedish, but we don't do that kind of a thing. Like, if you suck, suck it up.
Okay, well then again, it wasn't like, okay, don't come into class. It's more like, all right, you're just not learning anything, so it'll be easier. You just didn't really participate in these classes. But
fair enough.
But that is crazy to play Lady Malys. Now, I do have to ask, why a French accent? Like, did Alpha Booza say there's a reason, or what's with that?
I think it's because of, and I'm going to butcher that god's name. Is it Kegorak or Chegorak or something like that? That
Chegorak.
Laughing god still has a French accent, and I find it hilarious that this laughing god is played by an actual French person, and the other person with a French accent is a Finn. Like, hey, yeah, hi, how you doing?
That does actually make sense now I think of it. The Harley Quinn in real life, that's a French thing, if I'm right.
Yeah, it is. Originally, if I remember correctly.
Then there's the Batman Harley Quinn, but that'll be a different sort of setting if it was like that.
Yeah, very true, Puddin', very true.
Now also, you have actually done some work for Streamstorm once upon a time, if I'm correct, as one of the...
Yes, I have. I have been one of the idols. I was Sister Rosie, and it was so sweet when Streamstorm asked, around, hey, who could be, a voice actress for this? I was like, me, I can sing, I want to sing, me. And then he was very, very much at least... He asked me 10 times, are you sure you're comfortable with this? Because the lyrics are a bit risque. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, honey, I'm good. At that moment, I was still studying. I'm going to be an English teacher for teenagers. Nothing can scare me. And I read the lyrics oh, these are so tame. I like him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ended up being Sister Rosie, and it was an interesting thing to sing because I was like, okay, shall we make it sound like that I'm like not breathing at all? I'm just like singing it on like, woman, my heart keeps on. or how high it should have been, because like naturally, as you can perhaps hear from our voice, I'm not that high of a voiced person. I'm an alto, and the song was in the upper, areas of where my voice can go. I'm like, okay, that's all right. I just hope I can keep the tone, and I'm very happy that I did it.
And it was a good song, and I'm glad you did it. Plus,
Thank you. Also, I have been sorry to interrupt you. That's not the only thing I have done for this Idol series, as you may know already.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, you did Slaanesh, or you're still doing Slaanesh.
Yes, indeed I did. I'm not sure if I'm still doing it. If Slaanesh happens to be in the next season of Idols, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be Slaanesh, which is hilarious because guess who's Zinch?
Ram Muerto.
Yeah. We have 2 Chaos Gods in Ordo Theoreticus, like, hey!
And it is most appropriate for Ram Muerto to be Zinch, always questioning theories, even though the theory's probably never there to begin with.
Yeah, very true, very true. I'm pretty sure, like, where the Inquisitor Remley is to fall to chaos, that would be for Zinch.
Yeah, especially about asking you about doing those lyrics. Funny story, when I was actually going to commission artists to do some, not safe for work art, and I was like, okay, is she going to be comfortable with this, even though she has done art like that before? And it's just like, yeah, man, it's totally fine. I've done like this kind of stuff before, and I was like, oh, okay, because, when I was...
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah, because I don't want to get like stink eyes later on, and...
Aww. I think it's very good to be very polite about it, and not like, hey, can you draw me some of like this and this and this and this and this very explicitly, please? But just like asking like, hey, are you comfortable with this? Because that shows real care for the other person, for the artist. So I'm always approving that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, I do have to ask, when you were given a brush of exposure to 40k for the first time ever, what was your initial impression?
My initial impression of 40k was like, grimdark? No, I'm not going to make this character into anything grimdark, because my first ever meeting with 40k, if we want to say it like that, was via a friend of mine who is also a GM for our tabletop RPG group, and the campaign was Rogue Trader. And I was like, ooh, I get to be a rogue trader. What is Warhammer 40k? And I was explained the whole premise of it, and I was like, so grimdark. So it's the same thing that happens with, the fantasy miniatures, but in space. Okay, yeah, I got it. Cool. Let's do this.
Now, Rogue Trader, and also there's another game, if I'm correct, called Dark Heresy, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I have been playing both of them. Rogue Trader for quote-unquote 1 season and Dark Heresy for 2 seasons.
Now, I never played those. Oh, no problem.
Yeah. You were saying you have never played those?
I've never played those games. Like, I never played Rogue Trader or Dark Heresy, but I tried Dungeons & Dragons once, 3 years ago. Now, when you were to compare those games to something like D&D, would you say those games are better to D&D, or what would you say?
It depends on the edition. Which edition D&D did you play?
I think the most recent one. It would have to be the most recent one of D&D.
Fair enough. The 5th edition D&D is much easier. It's more, friendly for people who are starting with role-playing, and in comparison to the 4th edition or the 3.5, absolutely the easiest one of those. And in contrast to, if we play with the proper rules of Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader or any Warhammer 40k game, of course it's going to be grimdark because your character can't do anything and you're sure to die. So, yeah, I would say that depends naturally if you know about the world and if you have a good kind of team spirit and you have a good group to play with. It doesn't matter which game you're playing. But I would say that rules-wise, D&D, but otherwise, when you get into, for instance, Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, it gets easy. Of course, the dice system is different. In D&D, it's throw this D20, and in, Warhammer themed role-playing games, it is D100.
Now, D100, what, is that 100-sided dice? Because I saw something like that in the TTS episode.
Oh, yeah, that would have been like great to have, because I've seen those as well. But no, sorry, it's just two D10s. The other one has the, that little zeros at the end of the, numbers. So to indicate that that's the 10s. And then there's the other one for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And of course 10, but still.
Now, in that TTS episode, when they were playing that role-playing game of Warhammer Fantasy, will you say that's an accurate depiction of how these kind of role-playing games are done?
Depends on the group, but yes, absolutely. I think it is of course, it is not 100% accurate, but I've been in tables where the kinds of behaviors some of the characters are showing have been present very strongly, if we want to be very polite about it. And I've met all of those archetypes of players, and I was laughing my ass off. I have to admit, even before I was in TTS, I was a huge fan of TTS, and even if I hadn't gotten into TTS, I would have loved that episode. But now, because I know some background information of it, I just love it even more.
I remember one time you were actually telling me a story about how you would have this one guy who would play Sabaton songs during combat phases in a game. Yeah,
it was. We refer to these kinds of people as that guy, and that guy happened to be a GM. And unfortunately, these kind of GMs have their own either self-insert characters or these kind of characters that are overpowered, very good at everything. And then whenever I heard a Sabaton song come on, like when the battle started, I was like, okay, so this is going to end in this being a very difficult fight. We, as the player characters, being almost dead, and then the self-insert NPCs coming and saving the day because they are the best. So I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Sabaton because of that, except for one song, because I was introduced to that song before I was introduced to that guy person. And that's why Primo Victoria is still a good song.
Yeah, I remember one time on 1D4chan, they kind of joke about that guy, but there's two different kinds of that guy. That guy who is who you described, but then the other that guy is the cool guy. The guy who is not so fixated on the rules or lore, but it's just a fun guy to be around with. There's that fun guy.
Ah. Those are much better in the table, in my opinion, unless it goes into the, direction of, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like not paying attention and not giving a crap about other players or their characters, like not building this world together, not doing this story together, but like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm chill, I'm down. What are we doing again?
Oh yeah.
I hope it's not going into that direction. But yeah, I like the chill people in the game because they're like, yeah, okay, things happen and that's that. And they're not the ones who flip the tables.
Yeah. It's not like the GM had this huge adventure set up and it's like, no, you can't do that. I have this story idea. I want you to do this.
Ah, yeah. Railroading. I've seen that one as well. And I've had a discussion like in one of these kind of RPG groups. I'm the only one who hasn't been a GM, and they have all been. And it's very interesting to listen to their stories of GMing and railroading, because railroading is something that you can either do like, no, you're not going up north. This is my story, and I see that this story happens in the south. You're going south. Or then you're there just like, okay, you go wherever you want. The village is going to be there.
Yeah, some pro Jer, he actually recommends something like that whenever you're doing DMs. Do something like, if your characters are going in one direction, even though your location or your whole story is in another, then pick up that location and just drop it over there.
Yeah, basically, unless it's something like planned in a world where that location really matters, then of course I understand that it cannot be easily done. But otherwise, I absolutely agree. Like that village does not have to be down south. It can be up north. It's
like adapt the story as it goes. Like, It's like when it comes to DMing, from what I understand, it's more like you're not following a script. You're just following an outline. Yeah, absolutely. And from what I've been talking about to like with my friends,
it's like, okay, some of them make huge plans, like they write down different kinds of things. They have like these huge, like 80 pages worth of things.
Wow.
And they still tell me like, yeah, I can plan whatever, like grand schemes and everything. The players are never going to go there, like as I expect them to do, like go and do and everything. And one of them is like, okay, I have an outline of that. There's that village. And these 3 are important characters or important NPCs over there. And this is what has happened. And this is what those 3 think about that thing that has happened. And still the players are not going to go the route you expected.
Yeah, and like the TTS episode, the character could accidentally die. And it's like, well, the whole story was based around him, so now he's dead.
Yep.
But then again, if you didn't want him to die, why give him stats?
Indeed, that's very true. And from my experience, a good DM is there like, okay, my one and only plot hook died. I'm not going to tell it to these players. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. The person died. Perhaps it is important, but I'm not going to tell you because I'm going to use this hook in another way. Because of course those characters are going to die. Or like the best example ever that I have of this kind of like, what the hell is going on is when I wasn't even in this game, but the GM, who's my friend, told me the story. It was a game of Changeling the Lost, in which people have been abducted by fairies into the, fairy tale land. And when they get back, they have to escape. Part of their humanity is gone and they are partially fairy tale creatures now. And
the worst fate.
He just explained like, and of course, if he's listening to this, I'm pretty sure he's like, no, it's not like that. But anyway, now this is the story I'm going to tell. They had to go from point A to point B through a dangerous piece of woods, or, dangerous forest. And heck no, they built a hot air balloon and they flew over the whole thing. There were encounters planned into that forest. There were like, everything was planned. Like, okay, whatever happens in this forest, because obviously they're going to go through it. Like, there are going to be some encounters. But no, they fly over them.
So,
like, okay, fine.
So did they build this like hot airship out of scratch, or did they buy it? How did it go?
I don't remember. I think they built it and it was like, okay, if you like get these stats, like if you throw your die and it happens to be on that specific number, yeah, it works. And of course it did. So I can imagine, like, were I a GM, I would just look at the players like, I love your ingeniousness, but I do not really appreciate the fact that now I have to scrap everything. Perhaps I'll use it in another forest, but God damn it.
Well, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, indeed. And honestly, you just have to go with the flow.
This actually reminds me of one story when I was playing D&D for the first time. So what happened was that I actually explained this in a previous episode, but to tell you about the good part of the adventure, what happened was that me and an adventure group, right? We, stopped like a apprentice who took control of his master's laboratory and he turned him into a goat. But
as you do.
So we went back to his like magical lab or whatever. And we burned down his like treehouse because that's where he built his lab. He died inside. But his little dragon that he kept as a pet, though I'm not sure if you can call it a dragon, a flying creature of some kind, but it is something like a dragon. But I'm not sure what you would call it. Right? So he was
great wyvern creature.
Right. And so the dragon was coming at us, and we don't have like any kind of weaponry to take it down. But what we did have was the apprentice like wand, the wand that can transform humans into animals. Something that we were going to use on the professor who got turned to the goat. But so the sorcerer of the group, he used the wand and he used it on the dragon. And what happened was that he had to get like a really specific roll that's like one of those really hard rolls to get. Something's like you're most likely to not get it than to get it, if you see what I'm trying to go at.
Yeah.
Okay, but he casted it and he got the perfect roll and the dragon turned to like a mouse or something and he fell to the ground and got crushed.
Oh no. Well then.
Now, the fun part was that we didn't actually use the wand on the professor. What we did was we sold him to a goat farmer.
Oh, God, yes. Best thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't want to do that, but it's like, I'm not going to argue against it because we did get a good wand out of it.
Oh, that's priceless. That's just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, that was a good time, and I really do need to really try and get into D&D because it was a low fun experience. Though I'm not sure, but given everything going on, it might be a little while.
Well, you can do as I do, because at the moment where I'm living, I don't have any people around me in this, I'd say village, that, role play. But what we do is that we have Roll20 and we have Discord. So we talk through Discord, and in Roll20, you can play all kinds of role-playing games. They have different kinds of, character sheets for different kinds of games. So, for example, in there, I play at the moment Shadowrun and D&D. It's very good.
I'll definitely look into it.
Good.
Now, if I'm also correct, it's outside of Warhammer 40k, you also have an interest in the Ironeth Deepkin, if I'm correct, for Age of Sigmar?
Ooh, yes, I do. I actually, I'm an English teacher, which I'm not sure if it sounds like it, because at the moment I'm like, okay, super nervous. My English is going like, that's all right. But I'm teaching English at a high school, and these were the students that were preparing for their, final exams. I was giving them a reading comprehension test, or, a task, like, hey, here's a text and these are the questions, answer them. And it was from the Ironeth Deepkin book.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Thanks. But I was there like, yeah, this is a bit more challenging than the usual English books. But these are the kinds of tasks you may get. There may be something like a receipt. There may be something like a ticket that you have to interpret, or then a literary piece. And this is a literary piece for you.
It's like, Miss, what the hell is a Ironeth? Or, Miss, who's Nagash? Who are these people? Basically, you don't need to know. Those Ironeth are the people. That's the name of the people. Like, we're called things. They're called the Ironeth. And yeah, and they're like, if you want me to explain the whole lore that I know, I can do it, but that'll take us the whole lesson, because I get carried away. And even though I don't know that much about it, but they were like, okay, fine, we'll just do this task. I'm like, good, excellent, have fun. Were there any Age of Sigmar fans that got the reference?
No, unfortunately not. Another book that I used, from my nerdiness, so to say, as a reading comprehension text, was the 5th edition of, what's it called? Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh.
Yeah, there was this, what is it called? It's kind of a flavor text, not in the sense of a couple of sentences, but it was
like a
dialogue. Kind of like, yeah. Kind of like something, some sort of a dialogue of two people observing a vampire, and they were, I think, human hunters or something like that, looking at yeah, that's definitely a vampire, but not with a word vampire. And as an extra question there, I was like, okay, what are these? I don't remember the word that they used, but let's say kindred. What are these kindred? What kind of creatures are they? One person got it, and I was there I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, because the other ones were like, hey, what's a steak? I'm like, how is it spelled? Is it that, what kind of context do we have? It's either something that you eat or something that you use to kill certain kind of creatures, with the extra question in mind.
And actually, about the whole Ironeth thing, thinking back on it, there's actually this audio drama, right, about Gotrek, one of the characters from Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, when he got the little brush of exposure to what the Deepkin were, he saw one of their creatures, one of those shark creatures, but it's not called a shark. Oh, yeah. It's not called a shark. It's some kind of fancy trademarkable name. And it's like,
absolutely.
It's like, is that a shark? It's like, no, it's this. Then he says, well, it looks like a shark and it dies like a shark, so I think it's a shark.
Well, Technically, yeah. Then again, human beings can die like sharks too. Like, perhaps not in the quite same, direction of water if we think about it. If we go there and stay there for too long, we're not going to get up. If they come out of there, they might die for that or because of that. But still, everything dies like a shark.
Although more people die from mosquitoes than sharks, from what I've been told.
Yeah, so I've heard as well. So why are we not scared of those little pesky creatures that, for example, I'm not sure how it is for Canada, but at least for Finland, I'm not sure that, I'm pretty sure that it's the Northerners who have invented the dance Macarena, because we keep slapping each other and ourselves like that. So that's a mosquito, and that's a mosquito, and that's a mosquito, and that's a mosquito.
In this one part of Canada where I go to visit my grandparents, we actually have these things called horseflies. I'm not sure if you guys have them.
Yeah, we have them. Yeah. We have them. They're horrible.
Yeah, they are. I think I hate horseflies more than I hate mosquitoes because they bite.
Yeah, true. Unless you're trying to sleep. Then, when you're trying to sleep, you're just like very cozily in your bed. You're tucked in. You're all warm. Everything's soft and silent except for that one little.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I hate that.
The official preview to Naerina's Mosquito ASMR. Also, about the Deepkin, you have one of those turtle models, if I'm correct. The Leviathan?
Oh, yeah, the Leviathan, yes. Yes, I do.
How's that going?
That's going at the moment. I have assembled the Leviathan, but I didn't have the time to paint the Leviathan. And now that I'm going to start my summer holiday in 1 week, or we're starting our summer holidays, the school's end in 1 week. The paints that I bought are dry.
Oh, no.
So I have to go and buy more of them. But now I actually have time to do that painting thing because I've been so freaking careful with that turtle, Sir Shelley, he's called. And I mean, like, okay, hello there, little turtle friend. You be here, you be nice, you be cozy without those pesky mosquitoes over here because they don't care for you. You don't have any blood. And I've just been waiting for a perfect time to paint it, and now my paints are dry. But I have the whole summer, so...
Well, actually, I do have some paints that are like 3 years old, and they're still good.
What the hell happened with mine, then?
I don't know. And it's like some of these aren't even closed all the way. It's like there's paint buildup between the seal, and you would think it would not close. But yet, they are still good. I don't know what's up with that.
You just have better paints than I do. But then again, now that I'm working, I actually have money to pay for those paints, so that's nice.
Yeah, and I actually have been painting my shell sword here.
Ooh!
Yeah, the enormous military armor tank. That's been a lot of fun. I've got the camouflage down. I'm painting the eagles on it. Going to...
Nice!
I actually have this little guy here that has a flag. He's holding up his flag over one of the ports. I think that's the proper word of calling it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like, I like this little conversion I did. It's really fun. And I'm liking it so far.
Do you have a picture of it?
I do on my Twitter. Do you want me to send it through Discord?
Go for it.
All right, sure thing. I'm pulling it up now. And here we go.
The internet, go. All right, this one. Yeah, this looks very good. I like it.
Yep.
Also, very good detail work on the Aquilas.
Why, thank you so much. I had fun doing those. Now also...
Nicely done. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so for the camouflage, I basically gave it one coat. Then I did the whole brown, the camo of the camouflage. Then what I did learn is that you actually trace it so that it can actually stand up more. The camouflage.
Ah, true.
Give it a black low border and all that.
Yeah. Nice. Also, I love the fact that there's this little dude with a sword, like, yay, onwards!
Holding up his flag because he's patriot as fuck.
Well, perhaps we can let him be as patriotic as he wishes to be.
Yeah,
if he goes like, fuck yeah, then it's all right with me.
I think I'll paint as the English flag, considering where the game's from.
Fair enough. So basically, you're going to have there like this little person with the sword just shouting something like, "Rule Britannia! Britannia, rule the waves!"
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be amazing. I'm sure of it.
Considering where I'm from, it's appropriate. On the subject of Age of Sigmar, yesterday, by the time we're doing this video, Games Workshop has actually revealed a whole bunch of new stuff for the 3rd edition to Age of Sigmar. And I got asked, what's your impression on the new stuff coming out?
I haven't been very much up to date with the current news because I've been very busy with schoolwork. So, which ones are those again?
I actually have some photos here saved, so I can pull them up.
Thank you. I feel like such an un-nerd, so to say. I'm like, I haven't been keeping up with this stuff. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. It's okay. Well, here's one of the spotlights for one of the new Stormcast Eternals. I think I might like it.
Oh, yeah, this one. I've seen this. I think that, like, aesthetically, that cape is badass.
I really do like it too, and it actually reminds me a lot from the Custodian. What's it called? Shield Captain. The Shield Captain that was revealed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Captain General, actually.
But yeah, that looks very, very, very cool. And I love the detail work with all the texts that are on this character model and on the Warhammer, pun very much intended. Like there's supposed to be that leather strapped on it. That looks so good.
Though I think you might also like this one. It's one of the new orcs that's actually coming out.
Orcs. Oh, heck yeah. I love it.
They got a cave troll.
As they bloody well should. Yeah, I absolutely adore it. And this whole thing reminds me of, well, I presume that you have seen the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, I did. Of course it got a cave troll.
Because of the reference. And this reminds me of that last battle and the people riding the elephants. This reminds me of that a bit. I like it. I like it a lot.
I did actually hear a few things about how people see these new orcs, how it kind of reminds them of the orcs from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it does. Very much like that.
Almost like how they're shaped in a way. Look, all these, this gangly looking look, if that's an appropriate way of saying it.
Yeah, and this kind of, the posture is different from, let's say, like 40k orcs. Mm-hmm. These are much more straight up. And 40k orcs are like, okay, their necks start from, I don't know, from their chest or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, also the paintwork is very good on this one.
I like the Mike Wazowski build that the troll has.
I'm now just imagining a child waking up during the night, seeing this dynamic duo plus Mike Wazowski, who's trying to make the kid laugh so that the monsters can get some energy. And I'm not sure if they're going to pull it off. Depends on the jokes very much. But yeah, there's going to be some sort of energy, most likely screaming, but still.
Though I think what's interesting about these kind of orcs is that the orcs from AOS, they're still very much like the orcs from 40k. You know, the same posture, same shape and all. But I think what you could say is that this one brand of orcs follow the idea of their brutality, whereas with these orcs, they're more of the cunning.
Ah, true. Very true. I'm like, I'm smaller, this one's big. In my brain. Exactly. Also, we have Mike Wazowski, who's not, known for his brawn, but his brain perhaps more.
And look where he got him.
Well, he's well presented at least.
Though you could say it's not really Mike Wazowski, it's his second cousin twice removed.
Ah, right. It's Spike Wazowski. And yes, I absolutely adore this kind of like puns and dad humor, and my students both love and loathe me for it. I'm like, yes, children, yes.
Now, I do have to ask this question. Once upon a time in your Q&A video, I asked if you were the descendant of the White Death. And I got asked, how is... Now, Simo Hayha himself, does he have like a bunch of statues in Finland? Because I imagine he would.
Not that many, no. I'm not sure if I've seen any. Let me Google if we have anything. Simo Hayha, and now you're going to learn the Finnish word for statue, patsas. At least there was an ice sculpture somewhere, and I think there might be some sort of a statue somewhere, but we don't really have those kind of, statues or anything like that for single individuals, unless there's something like the president or something like that. But it's not for like these kind of war heroes. We just have these kind of general, okay, war sucked, here's a statue, but we survived, yay, another statue. But not that much. We don't have this kind of character cult for these people. We are just like, okay, well, I think it's because it's the stereotype of Finns being like, we're here, but we don't like to talk about ourselves, kind of humble. So, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons we don't have this kind of character cult, unless it is for the presidents or these kind of great men, and perhaps even women, not that much women, but still some of the women are in statues as well, if they're like very, very, very well-known authors in here or something like that, or if they were very known for their way of thinking or something like that, perhaps, yeah, then, but not that much with war heroes, no. How much do you have war hero statues there in Canada? We
actually do have a statue of one of our own snipers from World War I.
Nice.
Now, to those who don't know, Simo was actually the Royal Deadliest Sniper of World War II.
Nice.
But for Canada, we actually have our own famous sniper, but he's the deadliest sniper of World War I, named, I'm going to butcher his name, Francis Peak Mamagabo. I'm sorry, I can't say the name right. My sister mocks me every time for it.
It's all right. For example, to some people, Simo Hayha is also, what the hell, how do I say that name? So I'm used to the fact that people don't say other people's names right.
Yeah,
it's all okay. As long as we know who we're talking about, that's all right.
Yeah, we actually do have a nice statue of Francis here. He has he has an eagle and all that. It's all cool stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and when you read the story of Simo Hayha, it's like the kill count and of how the war turned out was crazy. Considering, like, if you were to compare the losses, it's like from the Soviet Union to Finland, it's like not even close.
Yeah, but still, like, I'm not sure. I think how also after the war or wars, like after that, he was like, okay, I'm home. I have nothing to do. Mm-hmm. Where's the next war? Because like he was so in the zone for that whole wartime. So like kind of returning to this kind of tranquil life didn't suit him at all.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be like that for... Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, just like I was just about to say the same thing, that I think like for people who have been to war and who have seen war, going back to tranquil life and trying to... Because people naturally, they think that, okay, you just come back and that's that. But it's not that. No. You have seen people die and you have been very, very like... so close to your death for quite a while. So just being all normal, quote unquote, after that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's like that's one of the things that I learned about, especially from World War I, was that when the war was done, it's like none of the troops could really go back to normal life. It's like from the environment they had to live in for like years, it's like, how can you go back to normal from that?
Yeah, indeed. And as a person who hasn't seen a war, like I've just heard about war, that I know that there are wars raging all over this world. Mm-hmm. I would have no idea how I, for example, if I had to be there fighting for my life, for other people's lives, like what that would do to me and what it does to other people. I have only heard stories and I imagine that is so much worse than they just tell us about. It depends on the person, naturally, but still.
Though from what I learned of Simo, it seems like he lived a long life because, if I'm correct, he did pass away near his 90s.
Yeah, something like that. Too stubborn to die.
Yeah, death was too scared to approach the White Death.
Yep, absolutely. If I were there, like, just hanging around, like, okay, I should take Simo Hayha with me, but perhaps not just now. Oh, look, there's a cat with 9 lives, now only 8. Whoopsie daisy, my day's just dead, and that's my schedule. Sorry, Simo, we're going to have to reschedule this. Bye.
Yeah, there's actually a joke about that from one of the U.S. presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, was that...
Oh.
Yeah, but the joke was that he... Sorry, I keep stuttering, but the joke is that...
It's all right. I do it too. We're both like...
Sometimes I even wonder if I can speak English properly, and that's the only language I can speak.
That's all right. I sometimes wonder that about my English and my Finnish, so that's all right.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, you were saying...
So the joke was that Theodore is that he's, quote-unquote, one of the manliest men you can think of from all the stuff he did during his life before becoming president. Because one of the things was that he was giving a speech, during one of the elections. He got shot, but what happened was that he refused to, actually stop. He was like, no, you guys can help me after I'm done my presentation.
I used time and effort to write this speech, so I'm not going to bleed to death because you're going to hold something like your finger in the hole or something. I don't even care, but I'm finishing this thing. But that tells us so much about what kind of person he seemed to be to the audience or the bigger audience. Like, I really like those kind of people who are like, okay, I don't have time for this shit. I need to finish this. And then if I have time, I will die.
Exactly. And the joke was that death had to take him in his sleep because if he did while he was awake, there would have been a fight.
Ah, yeah. True. Smart death.
And with Simo, he did get a really good song from Sabaton and...
Yeah, that he did. I think I should try to listen to it again and again so that I can get the image of that guy's role-playing sessions from my mind.
I actually think we have reached a good point where I can actually ask you some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. First things first. One of them is actually multiple questions in one. How are you both doing?
Doing good. A bit tired. Waiting eagerly for the summer holiday because I have still so much grading to do. But otherwise, yeah, very well. Thank you.
My sister's on that route too. She's trying to get all the grades done so she can enjoy her summertime.
Ooh, kudos to your sister.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest of years, but you have to work with what you have.
Yeah, indeed. I'm at the moment in a very lucky position that I live in such a small village that we haven't had very many of these pandemic cases over here. So with wearing masks, we can actually teach at school and have these students come to school, which is very, very good in my opinion. In some other cities in Finland, yeah, they have still for the whole year, they have been teaching distantly through Teams or Discord or something like that. So I feel like I'm in a very, very good position. I don't know how it has been for your sister, but if she has gone through yes, let's all sit at our computers and just try to work with this, just wow. I'm not jealous of that situation, and I think she's doing an amazing job.
She is, but what she has to go through is weird because the school would go, okay, come to school. Okay, no, stay home. Okay, come to school. Now stay home. And it's okay, you're going to be making sessions for 8 different classes. Go.
Yeah, it's horrible when you're not sure if you have to just in one day, switch into distance learning or then come to school. And of course you have prepared your materials for either case. And you're there let's see what's going to happen. I don't know.
But she's doing a great job and I'm proud of her.
As you should be. I'm proud of her too.
And his second question being, what is your favorite TTS moment?
favorite TTS moment. Too many of them.
Way too many.
I think one of them is the one with which I usually, if I tell a friend about TTS and they haven't heard about TTS, the part with which I usually start is, I think, is it episode 6? Not sure. The entrance of a certain trio of shirtless guys. I'm like, yep, this is TTS. Like, meet the custodians.
Actually, fun little story.
Custodians. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll explain my moment, but about the custodians. So, when I was commissioning art for the 500 subscriber special, when I was commissioning for one of the custodians, I was actually explaining to the artist the whole joke behind it, and she's like, "This sounds a lot of fun. I can't wait to do this."
Nice.
Though what happened was that she showed me the sketch, and I was like, "Okay, this is perfect." But then what happened was that YouTube actually took down one of my thumbnails that I did for Lilith because they said it was sexual, despite her being in a bikini. So I then had to ask her, because YouTube is like weird when it comes to their rules. It's like it implies some people get implied, but there's just nothing happens to them.
Yeah, that's just super weird.
But what happened was I had to ask her, okay, can you cover up the nipples with like a robe or something? Because I don't want YouTube to like make some kind of bullshit excuse and me getting a strike.
Yep. Smart move. Very smart move.
But I think my favorite TTS moment will actually be, I think it was the end of season 2 when Theodore, that's his name. He was at the gate of Cain, and he's trying his best to open the gates, always trying to convince himself that he is the emperor. And near the end, when Scarbrand, as he was about to drop the axe, his little companion, he's like in the afterlife, and he's with like the Star Child, Saint Celestine.
Dominic! Yeah, that was such a good moment.
It was.
Oh my goodness. I remember, like, spoilers about TTS. Of course, we have this kind of quality control group. I'm one of those people in there. When I saw that scene first, I was like, oh, Dominic! It was such a touching moment.
It was a really touching moment, and it's stuff like that makes TTS such a great series.
Yeah, absolutely. I just adore it. Like, just without even being in the series. Like, if I wasn't even in the series, I'd be like, oh my god, TTS.
But onwards, what is your favorite Warhammer book or series?
Tough one. I think at the moment, I really like, at the moment, Caiaphas Cain. But I'm starting perhaps today or tomorrow, because I just bought the audiobook for First and Only. So I'm going to be listening to Gaunt's Ghost. So I'm not sure if Cain's position at the top will be challenged or not.
Now, that's an excellent book to start. That was such an excellent book.
Good. Excellent.
I hear a lot of things about Caiaphas Cain, and seeing the TTS episode, it's like... And seeing the memes that go around about him, it's like, this does sound like a fun little story to read, so maybe I'll start that someday.
Yeah, Caiaphas Cain, as a character, I think he represents the humanity very well. This kind of, okay, I'm in the boots of heroes, but I'm not sure if I'm really capable of this thing. And people think I'm a hero, just like, yeah, I absolutely run into that direction to cause a diversion, and not at all because I was scared and running away. Yep, absolutely.
Forced to become a hero against his own will.
Yeah, basically.
And off topic, when I did see the Gaunt's Ghost models that they revealed not too long ago, I was like,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, they looked so good. And the texture in those guns, for example, the wood texture. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. They look so good. And I actually had people asking me if that's going to be like a limited series thing. Like, okay, this is only available for one day, guys. Good luck. Personally, I don't think so. I don't think that's something they're going to do.
I hope it's not like that. I really hope.
Well, because here's the thing. Whenever Black Library sells a new book, and they include the new model with them. It's like we see this with like Suffering Rain, Gotrek, and Eisenhorn. Eisenhorn also got a model about that. People would think that they're going to be a limited series thing because it's like, a bigger than life character. Yet it wasn't limited. It's not a limited thing. So I think that maybe. So perhaps this could be the same thing for Gaunt's and his ghosts.
I really hope so. I honestly really hope so, because like it was the models that I saw and that whole little package with which came different kinds of things of those like picture of those characters, etc., like some pieces of text, etc. I was like, okay. I want to read the series. I don't have time to read. What I do have is, I do walks and I have Audacity. And not Audacity about that, Audible. That's the thing. Why do I always keep on like mixing these two up? But yeah, I have Audible. Let's check if we have. Yes, we have. Excellent.
I actually have the Black Library app, so I go for walks a lot of time too, because I too don't have that much time, considering that I'm trying to study to become a technician and I have work in real life. And the only time I have time to read is like on the weekends. But what I do a lot is walk. So I figured, why not listen to these stories?
Multitasking.
And I have a little library on my phone already, so even though my bookshelf not be full, my phone is.
That's the spirit. Like, do you even read? Like, what kind of, sort of? Not quite like reading, but yes, I know the stories of these books. They have been read to me multiple times.
And his last question that he asks us through the tweet is, if you were transported to the 4K universe, what faction would you rather appreciate being a part of?
That's a very good question. Of course, I am biased towards the Inquisition, but I know that would be very dangerous.
For being an acolyte yourself.
Yeah, it's like very hazardous life. But it would be so cool to be on a rogue trader ship. I don't even care what I'd be doing, but just going around and discovering places, etc., that would be neat. So yeah, I think if I were to be transported into the 40K universe, I would be on some rogue trader's ship.
I actually answered a question like this in a previous episode. I think I would like to be a commissar-like character.
Yeah.
The kind of commissar who's the inspirational leader. But considering how I am, I'd probably be more like Hyva's king.
Hey, he's an inspirational leader too. Not by choice, but still.
Oh, I actually didn't answer one of the questions about what's my favorite book series. Well, that would actually be the Slayer books from Warhammer Fantasy, in which we follow Gotrek and Felix. Those are my favorite books.
Oh, right. Yeah, I should read them. I've heard so many good things about them.
And Gottrek's actually back for AOS, and his books are pretty great too. The classic series, though, is like, wow, this is amazing.
Well, I need to get reading then.
And I actually finished one of his most recent classic books called Dragon Slayer. And all I gotta say is that think about The Hobbit, but it's the vodka version.
Oh, it is The Hobbit.
Yeah, it's the vodka version of The Hobbit, yeah.
Sounds good, because The Hobbit is one of my favorite books. So, yeah, sounds good.
But moving on and onwards, what's your favorite Warhammer box game? Example being Warhammer Quest, Blackstone Fortress, Space Hulk, etc.
Well, actually, I haven't played any. I have Blackstone Fortress there. Like, I got it as a gift. I have that on my shelf, but I have no people to play it with me at the moment.
Well, when it comes to box games, I think my favorite box that Games Workshop has released was when they did Dark Imperium. That's what it was called when 8th edition came around. I think that was such a great addition when it came out, because like it introduced the Primaris Marines, introduces the new wave of Death Guard models, and at long glass, apologies, Games Workshop took the story forwards. It was no longer in a state of purgatory. So I think with Dark Imperium, it actually represents that. It represents going forward. And because of that, I think Dark Imperium is my favorite box, because of what this has opened up for 40K.
Yeah, very true. And I think it's very good that 40K keeps on kind of developing and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, before Gilliman awoke again,
mm-hmm.
it was like, okay, we have been in this situation for quite a long time. But then when there was this announcement, like, oh, by the way, one of the Primarchs has woken up, like, what? Excuse me, what? It brought so much life into this whole thing. Of course, there has been life in this whole thing for quite a while, and it is, you can't kill 40K, but still that brought some this kind of hustle and bustle around the thing again, like from my friend circle who don't associate themselves with that much with 40K, but still they were like, oh, cool, yeah, let's talk about this topic.
Yeah, because last time Games Workshop killed the universe, the fan base didn't like it so much.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was there when they killed off Warhammer Fantasy. Okay, I never.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wasn't into Warhammer Fantasy. Like, I didn't collect the models or anything like that. Like, I knew of it, but it was something I wanted to get into. So I was like, okay, very soon, I'm going to try to start collecting Bretonnians. But then when I went to their store one day, I was like, oh yeah, so we have this new game called Age of Sigmar. It's going to replace Fantasy. We're actually going to kill it off. I'm like, oh, so that's what we're doing.
Excuse me. Yeah, and because I have played also I think it was 1.5 campaigns of, tabletop RPG of Fantasy, and still remembering fondly my character, Natalie von Adler, was a noble who saw horrible things and was almost sacrificed to, I think it was Slanesh, but she managed to escape, etc., etc. Still, I have this very warm place in my heart for fantasy. So I remember being, well, not particularly sad, but saddened by the fact
disappointed.
Oh, they killed it. Yeah.
Now,
yeah, it was this kind of this disappointment, well, okay then, but why? That was a primary question for me at that point.
Well, from what I could gather, it's it just wasn't making Games Workshop that much money. In fact, it was probably...
Yeah, that's what I learned as well there. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
It was costing them money to try to keep it alive.
True.
Though I think Age of Sigmar, I think it's in a good place right now.
It is.
It didn't have the best first impression, but what came afterwards made up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. This kind of hey, we're here to replace the whole thing. Yeah, copycats, go home. But then yeah, but we have turtles. Oh, come in.
Ah, these are elves from the sea.
Under the sea, we have these knife-eared elves. Yeah, not rhyming today. That's not my forte. And at the moment, I'm usually good at that.
Now, considering there were so many Warhammer Fantasy characters that survived the destruction of the world and made it to Age of Sigmar, would you say your roleplay character also made it to AOS?
It would be cool, because I think the situation in which she ended up was that she has an elven amulet that keeps her visions at bay, because, of course, she was very much disturbed by seeing people die, etc., etc. And because of this kind of, she still has, I think, that red hand of something, or crimson hand of something or other, not quite tattooed, not quite burnt to her, side. And she was hit with an axe by a minotaur. So she'd be okay, I'm a noble lady, but at this moment, I don't give a fuck about this kind of fancy-pansy way of living. I'm bad at fighting, but what I do know is strategy. So if she has survived into Age of Sigmar, I'm pretty sure that she'd be in one of those, this kind of warring tent somewhere. People are what are you doing here? My lady, what are you doing here? I'm strategizing. Go away.
That does sound fun. And
it does. I can't wait. I think I should draw a picture of her in that kind of a situation. Yes.
Definitely do it. That's probably going to be an excellent visual.
Hope so.
And I think Arsenic Typhoon, she made a joke one time about how the destruction of the Warhammer fantasy world was basically like a gender reveal party for Archaon, because, like, surprise, this is a chaos.
Oh god, that's true.
It was...
Oh, I cannot unthink this idea. Yeah, absolutely. Wholeheartedly, yes.
And it was so
this is a new canon.
And it was so destructive that it blew up the world.
Well, looking at these kind of wildfires and how they have been, you know, or how they have begun, yeah, naturally, of course, the world is ending because of, you know, a gender reveal party.
It's like...
But why not?
Like the scene in Infinity War, it's like, did he do it? Did he reveal the gender? Yes. What did it cost? Everything.
It did.
But,
very true, very true.
But on the same question, who is your favorite non-Imperium 40k character?
Do you really have to ask this? Of course it's Lady Malys.
Now,
I'm biased, I admit.
Now, outside of TTS, I actually have no exposure to Lady Malys because, you know, by the TTS episode, it introduced me to her for the first time ever. So it's like, if Games Workshop gives her a book or something, then I'll definitely read it because I am interested in learning more about her. Because he does seem interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when I got the role, I didn't know much about Lady Malys. So I Googled stuff. I was like, okay, who is this Lady Aurelia Malys? And when I was reading the lines before we were even recording them, I was like, oh, it would be so cool to have a book about Komorag, about Vect, and then just switch to the point of view of Lady Malys. Or just a story or something. It doesn't have to be even a book, but just a short story about that. Because it would show this kind of, in contrast to the Eldari, the Drukhari, they're like, yeah, we have emotions and we can show them and we can procreate, etc. Killing is fun. Yay, murder. But still, they are like, Lady Malys is such a, how to put it? Such an angry little thing. Such a jealous little thing. Such a cruel little thing. Also, such a hilarious little thing in the sense of course, if I met her in real life, I'd be freaking terrified. There's a crazy clown lady who says that she's going to make an intricate sewage system of some person still screaming remains. I'm like, okay, you do that, I'll go to the other direction. But still, it would be so cool to read a story in which Lady Malys, let's say, like she's just in her chambers or something, just like walking around in circles, like, goodness gracious, Vex, I'm so going to, I don't even know if I'm going to kill him or what I'm going to do. And this kind of, I would love to see these kind of inner machinations of these characters. What do they think? How do they think? Because they have to be on their toes all the time because there are backstabbers everywhere. And
that would actually make a interesting book, and hopefully Games Workshop does something like that down the line.
Games Workshop, you heard what we're talking about. Do it.
But I think now, for people who follow me on Twitter, it's obvious who's my favorite non-Imperium character, and that would be Commander Farsight.
That's a very good character, too.
Yeah, I finished his second book recently, and I'm really hoping there's a third book, because I had a blast reading his first two books. So I'm hoping there's a third book, and I'm hoping there's going to be a new model of him. Because, you know, he is the best anime character.
But that he is, yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know,
he should have a theme song, like every time you're in the battle zone. Yeah, every time you're in the battle zone and you're like, okay, we're fighting the Tau. Can you hear that? What is it? Oh my god.
Crimson Might.
It's Japanese. Run!
Oh, no, we're fighting weebs.
But yeah, like he seems like such a character to have a theme song.
Yeah, Storm actually did a song about him, actually. It was perfect.
I think he did.
Crimson Might.
I haven't. I haven't heard it in a long time. I should listen to it.
With his friends by his side.
This is turning into a musical, people. Be prepared.
Turning to an anime opening.
Yeah, welcome to a new anime opening of 40k.
And something Games Workshop will probably take into their Warhammer Plus stuff.
Honestly, when I heard the Warhammer Plus thing, I was thinking of, okay, do they have this kind of whole like intro like animation with the Imperial Palace, just like in like silhouette or something, and then there's that Tinkerbell flight in the Disney one, like dee 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 dee, but like instead of that, they
like
just sing
cherub.
For the Emperor.
Yeah, it's like some kind of like messed up looking cherub baby. Like,
oh god, no. Because like, when I saw the pictures of those, like when we were playing Rogue Trade, like, hey, would you like to have these in our shitbox? No, nightmare babies, no.
Yeah, I think when it came to like Warhammer Plus, it's like, hey, want to come to do animations for us? It's like, and they're like, oh, that does sound fun, but I think I prefer YouTube. And the guys at Games Workshop are like, well, here's the thing. I'm not asking you to join the team. I'm telling you. Because, like, either work with us or get striked.
So, basically, they're just making these people offers they cannot refuse. And, of course, the mosquito's back. Etc., etc., etc.
And, yeah. But moving on, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
A book you would want written for 40k or fantasy.
Well, didn't I just explain about that, Dark Elves?
Yeah. That basically self-answered the question, but I think I'll also give a little answer to this.
Go for it.
But for 40k, like I said, I would like a third Farsight book, but what I would also appreciate will actually be a book on Lilith, the Dark Eldar herself.
Oh, yeah. That would be neat.
Because what happened was that on Twitter, I did ask if there was a sort of book on her if I could read about. And Jet Black Rare was like, unfortunately, not really. She's not
That is really a shame.
Yeah, because she seems like a cool character, and I would like to have read more about her outside of a codex. So if she gets a character book series like what they've done for Armin, Farsight, and other characters, yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I would read that as well. Just like, because if there's a book about Lilith, we could get some glimpses of some other characters as well. Possibly. But honestly, that is such a good character as well. I would want to read about her as well. Games Workshop, we are giving you ideas. Even though we cannot join your Disney Plus team, we can still give you some ideas. Yeah, so listen up.
But next one on the list, what got you both into Warhammer, and why was it Conrad Kurz?
Goodness gracious, when was the first time I heard of Conrad Kurz? I think it was from Remlays, because like Rem is a proper Conrad fan.
Oh yeah, I saw his videos about him painting those Night Lord Smalls once upon a time. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually once painted him a little card with Conrad Kurz on it. Yeah, it was a Conrad Kurz card, like, yay, have a Conrad Kurz.
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't Conrad Kurz that got me into Warhammer, but it would actually be Captain Titus from his game Space Marine, so...
Nice.
Yeah, such a great introduction to 40k.
I can imagine, yeah. With me, it was just that rogue trader, like, hey, do you know anything about 40k? I'm like, 40 what? And then I was told about Warhammer 40k. And then we had an epic adventure with the rogue trader Shahira Bonner going there like, yes, hello, I'm a fancy lady and I have a fancy sword and I have fancy Velasco pistols. And yeah, I hate especially you, the other rogue trader, who's definitely not my love interest or anything. So, yeah.
And finally, the most important question of all, is there ever going to be enough DACA?
Of course not. There can never, ever, ever be enough DACA.
And here's the thing. If there's enough DACA, then what are you going to do afterwards? Like, what's the next goalpost?
Yeah, indeed.
Because if there's not enough DACA, you have something to inspire to trying to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like, if you have the DACA, what else?
Oh my God, the deep questions. So basically, if we were orcs and there was enough Daka, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd perhaps just stop what I was doing, whatever it was, and just stare to the blankness of the universe and what now?
Exactly.
Perhaps start gardening and just retire from war and grow mushrooms, of course, because what else do we grow? And at some point, when I've done that enough, there wouldn't be as much Daka as there used to be. And then we wouldn't have enough Daka.
The question is, can there be enough Daka? But the question is, should there be enough Daka?
Of course not. From their point of view. Of course, from the humanities' point of view, there is enough Daka. But, yeah, of course there shouldn't. There should never be enough Daka, because you can always do better.
But with all that, I think we have reached the end of the show. Is there anything you would like to say before we wrap things up?
Just a general message to people hang on tight, dearies. Whatever it is, it's going to be all right. And remember, you can always have more Daka.
That is true. And with all said and done, thank you all for watching. And I'll see you all again next week actually, no, not next week. As of when this video is released, I'm actually on vacation. So I'll see you all. Nice. So I'll see you all on my birthday Q&A when that's released on July 8th. And with all that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.